Hey everybody, Puffin here. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try to make it real simple. There's 4 things we need to do before there any type of significant return to work in America. The first one, stop the virus. That's the first thing. That's bare minimum. But the thing is, you can't go back to work while the virus is still spreading. We're still having 100,000 new cases a day in America. And you've got 40% of schools still open and they're pushing for more. That's crazy. That's Trumpian. See, Trump was going full force to try to give everybody the virus and commit a genocide in America, and he succeeded a lot. He killed over 500,000 so far. But we can't just put it in neutral. If he's been going full force that way, we have to go full force the other direction. And that includes, if he was trying to push and keep schools open and sports open, we have to make sure to close them all. It shouldn't even be thought about or talked about, but where it is talked about, the answer should be no, close the schools, because it's just crazy. You've got 90% of the areas it's not safe to be open, but 40% of the areas still have schools. This is one of the things that's still spreading the virus. And they might not have tracked it to the schools as hotspots in every case. I'm sure in some they have, but they might not have tracked it to them yet, but I'm sure that they are participating in it, even if they haven't tracked it that far, because they're not tracking it very well. So again, stop the virus with mass testing. You could have done that a year ago, but since you didn't, stop the virus with vaccines, whatever, or do some more mass testing while you're at it too, and try to actually isolate it and shut it down, and just give everybody the ability to stay home. So that's number one. Do the opposite of what Trump does. Don't just put it in neutral, go the other direction. But number two is everybody needs health care. This is just basic. Number three, I think, and this isn't in order of importance, and there's more than 4. I really want to get to the 4th one. Number 3 is the thing that I've mentioned before in recent videos. Roads, like redo all the roads, fix all the roads and bridges, and redo them with like solar panels on them with electric power plugs every so often or whatever, or just to make them where they'll recharge your electric cars, like retro or revamp the whole system while there's nobody as much on the roads. And you need to do that anyway. So go ahead and do it now. But let's do that before we have a significant return to work. But the most important thing that some news outlets you'll hear from, I've heard about it on the Daily Moth today, the Deaf News channel, because they get right down to the news. It's a good news program. But you can't see it everywhere. But the main thing they need to do that I could think of today is make sure that Black Lives Matter and that the cops can't kill people. Okay, they have to stop the cops killing people and start holding people accountable. And they haven't taken any steps in that direction since Joe Biden took over as president. It's still going the exact same direction into fascism and evil. And we're gonna stop it, but they need to help us stop it, because they, meaning the government, do not want to have that problem unsolved and have everybody go back to whatever. Do you realize how many people will be at these protests when it's safe to be there? Like, these are people who are there, masked up or whatever, but, like hundreds of people at these protests already. But for every person who's there, there's another hundreds of people who would be there if they felt safe about being outside and joining these things. So just look at it reasonably, rationally. If you don't solve the problem, meaning rein in and fire and arrest these cops and put them in jail for murder, if you don't start doing that, all the people who are coming out to protest are going to overwhelm your police and arrest them themselves. This is just math. This isn't some Antifa directive. This is just me as a math genius understanding math and explaining it to you. Because you don't seem to understand it for the virus either, government. You need to shut it down. You need to pay everybody to stay home. Don't be picking and choosing and persnickety about it. Just shovel out the cash to pay everyone to stay home that possibly can. More people, you have less people working than are working now for a little while. Pay everyone to stay home for a little while. It only takes a month or two, but pay everyone to stay home so that you actually shut down the virus. So that's step one. But then you get rid of all these cops, because you don't want these protests in a post-pandemic era. We'll take over the cities. Like, forget your cops. They'll be arrested and, put somewhere else or put in the jails that we'll also have to take over, I guess. It's like you don't understand what's going down. And this is why. the news story about Daniel Prude in Rochester, that the grand jury said we're not going to press charges against these cops. The protesters shut down the freeway. You probably didn't hear about that on the news, but they got out last night and shut down the freeway. More stuff like that's going to happen and should happen in bigger and bigger ways until you actually start prosecuting these cops for murdering people. Okay? And people get all upset about, Black Lives Matter, that people use the terminology Black Lives Matter when people are not respecting how much racism is in the system and how these KKK members are running your police departments. Like, we need to be rooting them out aggressively after what you saw happen at the Capitol. We're going to start rooting them out aggressively, but if the FBI is not moving fast enough, people are going to start picking up the slack and getting them themselves. Okay, do you see what I'm talking about? Like, this is going to get real serious and real aggressive about ending the KKK as far up as it goes. And this includes if Joe Biden's protecting them, you're getting voted out. Like, this is your chance. And we're not going back to work in your first term. Like, let's just make that clear. It's going to take you that long to fix this stuff. But you better start working on the cops now. Okay, so the Northern California, Antioch police in Northern California killed Anthony Quino, a Navy veteran, 30-year-old Navy veteran. Let me say again, Navy veteran. So these veterans are the ones who used all this equipment in the first place that the cops are getting hand-me-downs and using for fun on our citizens. These veterans are some of the people getting killed by these cops. And these veterans aren't going to take it too much longer, just like the veterans didn't take it at Standing Rock. Like, the veterans are going to show up in places too. You don't want that, you stupid government fools. Arrest the police. Arrest them now. Before the people do it. The people are going to find out who these people are, and as soon as somebody breaks spades, this is just a math expert telling you. This isn't Antifa directive. This is just a math expert telling you. As soon as one citizen arrests a police officer for what they've done to citizens, it's not going to be the last. It's going to be the start of something. And you don't want that. Arrest your own murderers. They're murdering people. So they knelt on this guy, 30-year-old Navy veteran, was calm by the time the police got there because he was having some type of paranoid problem. He needed a medical health emergency. And by the time police got there, his mother was hugging him and he was calm. And they still put him on the ground, kneeled on his neck for 5 minutes and murdered him while he was begging for his life, begging for him not to kill him as soon as they put him on. She started filming him when his eyes rolled back in his head. So they got the film. They're going to be suing him in some Connecticut, which I'm just looking this up and you wouldn't believe the story. Just look up killed by police, and put in any parameters you want with killed by police and look at the stuff that comes up. Connecticut man suing the city. This is a story from 6 days ago. I didn't even click it, I'm sorry to say, but suing the city, suing the police. Like, these lawsuits need to start coming down, and judges that don't side with us need to start getting yanked. We're going to start pulling all the traitors and all the KKK out of all the positions. And the closer you're associated with Trump, the easier you're identified that way. But even if you're Biden, if you're Joe Biden, but you're not, we're in the Biden era, but we're not prosecuting cops, we need to turn that around real quick. And this is the main thing that you need to take home with this, is before you have any idea of getting people back to things, keep in mind how many people are going to be at these protests if it's safe to get there, if you haven't solved that problem. Because it's your problem. You created it by letting the KKK infiltrate all these police departments. Time to root them out. Time to replace all the police, every last one of them, because not enough of them had turned on their little KKK buddies. See how that works? You can replace them all. There's plenty of people looking for work right now. You can replace 100% of the police. All new cops is the only compromise to no cops at all. You see how this works? This is math, buddy. This is big time math. So look into it and see how it's going to turn around, because you don't want people shutting down more freeways. And you don't want people taking things to further extremes, like arresting the police themselves under citizen's arrest for murdering people. Which seems perfectly reasonable to me. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anyway, thanks for listening. Stay tuned and do these 4 things. Repeat, end the virus, end the Trump genocide in every single way. 2, healthcare for everybody, because you need that to take care of the problems you let your government cause. 3, like environmental, like green energy, everything. Redo the roads and bridges, solar panels everywhere, green energy, everything. Redo it before anybody goes anywhere. Wait till you go on a solar road. And 4, Black lives need to matter and cops need to be stopped. Like, if we need to call it that because they're killing more than black people, cops need to be stopped. Okay? It's time to dox and stop the cops. Thanks for listening. Y'all have a nice day.